Providence at Louisville, Wednesday college basketball. Marco, who do you like and why?
Well, RJ, I'm going to like the dog in here, Providence, and the reason simply Louisville is just an overpriced commodity right now. Stock value on Louisville following last week's games. They had back-to-back blowouts over Connecticut and Rutgers, but then the icing on the cake was Sunday when they played on national TV against the Pitt Panthers, knocked off Pitt. Now everybody's buying into the Louisville program, and I say this is a letdown for them. And on the
All right, so let's talk about that. So starting off, we're constructing our race to 2.5 points. How can we get 2.5 points of value? So part of that value is coming from Louisville simply being overrated, and that's based on recent performance. That's based on one of those happening against the marquee team on national TV.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Now, to the flip side to that, Providence, they're coming off an absolute bad game, and everybody's going to look at that score. They played on Sunday as well. They played at Marquette, and they got the doors blown off them by 24. So you're saying, well, why do you want them if they got beat by 24? Well, one, we're going to get added value with Providence in the line. Two, if you dig into the schedule, which is something I love to do, this was a perfect spot for them to get blown out on Sunday. They were coming off their last two games prior to Sunday.
Did you have the other team Sunday?
No, I did not. I didn't.
So in hindsight, it was a perfect spot.
In hindsight, it was a perfect spot. But the situation was they played Cincinnati at home in overtime. They lost in overtime. They followed that game up with a high-scoring shootout against Notre Dame. They took Notre Dame to the limit and lost 94-93. Now, so many times you've heard me talk about when an inferior ball club plays one of the big marquee teams and takes them to the limit like that but comes up short, it's more devastating for that team to come off that type of loss because they came so close to pulling off a major upset and then have to go on the road. They just got gassed at Marquette.
Okay, so and what day was that game?
That was Sunday.
All right, so both these teams played Sunday, turn around to Wednesday. Okay, so what did you expect the number to be?
I thought the line, I put my line at 12, and when we actually got the line just before we went on air, the line came out at 13, which makes me even better because this is one of those ones where the line is higher, but I understand why the line's higher.
And that's a distinction. In this case, you're making a value play. Mm-hmm. And about half your games are value plays, half are traps?
Yes.
And the distinction between the two is when a line is out of whack for no reason that you can see, you think that's the odds makers trying to induce action. And when it's out of whack because of a misperception you can define, then you'll take the value.
Absolutely. And to put it, when it doesn't make sense, that's when you really look at the line. And for this line to be high, it absolutely makes sense because of the way the scores are. So I like Providence. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. And Louisville's not generally been a good margin ball club, win by big numbers. I'm going to take Providence plus the points. I have Louisville winning the game, but I have it as a 76-71 game. A lot closer than the odds makers think.
Okay, so your official projection. Now, what's Providence's tournament chances at this point?
No,
they're not.
No.
Will they make the Big East tournament itself?
They're at the bottom half of it, and I don't remember exactly how many teams don't get into the Big East tournament.
So aren't you? It sounds like an issue here that maybe hasn't been fully examined is have they packed it in?
Well, given the way they played those two games at home prior to the Marquette game on Sunday, I don't think this team has thrown it out yet for the season. Still, they can get to 500, which would get them into the NIT status. Teams, you get one game over 500, you're going to make the NIT or that other CBI tournament that they've had the last few.
Now, that's interesting because if you're a marquee team that has aspirations for an NCAA title, oftentimes you do horribly in the NIT if you get disappointed. You would say Providence, those expectations would make the NIT a valid or a tournament that they might actually be motivated to get into?
Well, nobody ever is going to really truly be motivated to get to the NIT, but this is a team that realistically early in January knew that they weren't going to be a contender in the Big East. So you got to readjust your
So they were
goals.
disappointed. All right, interesting. Any closing thoughts?
Nope, this is strictly a value play, and like I said, I know you tell me that I like to backhandle schedules, but whenever that's so key to me in my handicapping.
No, I think you're right. To define misperception is just sometimes I think you got to be careful. It's like the guy at poker. I don't want to name any names or anything, but it's like the guy at poker that no matter what, he made the right play. Clearly, you're not always making the right play. Clearly, teams get beat sometimes because they're just not very good or they didn't play a good game. And sometimes you can, hindsight's 20/20, and you can rationalize too much. Okay, I'm going to go now. So I actually went 1-1. I understand correctly. I went 1-1.
1-1 last week, and you had one neutral play.
So what you're saying is you only won one game over last weekend with the video picks.
With the video,
you were 1-2.
Without
you.
1 and 2 without.
Wait, I'm sorry.
So this was I was 1 and 2 on the 3 for the weekend, and we were 1 and 2 for the 3 during the week.
Okay, so when I last either said I agree or disagree,
Wednesday, you went 1
you won one game, and I was on that.
No.
Well, how could I not go 1-1? I'm confused. You won one.
The game we lost, you did give it.
I heard you there, but
okay.
you won one game,
right?
And I agree with that. And the game I didn't agree with, your own one.
And you agreed with one that lost.
No, I got that part. And then you were 1-2 without me on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
So let's say I disagreed with all those because I didn't agree. So really, you're 1-3 with the ones I haven't agreed on. Okay. So I'm going to say
you talk about backdating something to make something
I'm going to say
it.
Neutral on this.
Okay, neutral.
But just to give you the proper credit, why don't you take 12 seconds and tell us some of your video streaks other than these couples?
Well, our video streaks we're 9-3 with the last 12 videos overall, with or without his blessing. I want to
stipulate, with, but go ahead.
And the best bets are 5-1. We finally lost our first best bet on Saturday.
And I wasn't there for that.
No, you weren't there for that.
It's your turn to continue the conversation in the comment section with Marco and me. And next up, we're going to break down another Wednesday college basketball game.